everybody, and welcome back. Welcome back. We are on day 3, part 3 of our scrap busting, using up our 1-inch and smaller bits and pieces. And I cut off at the end of the last one, and so I had this one last bit to show you. Before I do that, I have to just say really quickly that I'm not going to talk about it for very long because I will start crying again. I am completely amazed and in awe of the comments that are happening over on my 2,000 subscriber giveaway video. If you guys haven't gone over, if you haven't gone over and entered, I encourage you to do that, just because, you know, I would love for you guys to win a journal, or have a chance to win a journal. But if you haven't spent some time reading through those comments, I would really strongly encourage you to do so. Get a cup of tea or coffee or a snack or a soda or a cup of water, whatever it is. Settle in and enjoy some time reading through there. It is the most fantastic bunch of positive, happy, heartwarming, heartfelt comments, and I was in tears last night reading through it. I had to stop after a while because I was just getting so overwhelmed. And I think it's because everything is kind of heightened right now. You know, all the senses are kind of heightened right now. All the emotions are a little heightened, or they are just really dulled out. And for me, I was over there reading about all these things that you guys have learned, or your silver linings, and it's so much about family, or like learning new things about yourself, or, you know, I was very moved. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for participating, and I look forward to reading even more of them. I needed to get things done, and I had to stop. And I plan to go back with a cup of coffee this afternoon and finish reading the ones that are there now. So thank you guys. I am so honored that you all have taken the time to write those comments, and I look forward to even more of them. So, okay, anyway, moving on. At the end of the last part, I started showing you one of these little woven papers, and then my video cut off. So we're going to quickly go through these, you guys. This is the last of the scrap pile. What you're looking at right here is the last of my scrap pile. Now, I still have some scraps in my drawer because I left myself an assortment of scraps because I reached to there for, you know, bits and pieces for journals all the time. So I didn't want to just get rid of everything. But it's like, I can still see the bottom of the drawer. So that is I can't even tell you how many scraps I've used. But what we're going to do today, I'm going to go through how to do this last one really quick. Then I'm going to kind of give you a show and tell of all of the things that I've been making and working on. And then I'm going to tell you next steps. So if you've been playing along, you'll kind of see where I'm going with this next, what this has kind of developed into. So this last bit are these little woven paper, and I'm just going to call them, I don't even know. So I was saying, you could put a piece of, so this is the front, right? And this is the back where I folded things over. You could put a piece of like coffee stained thicker paper on the back. It'd have to be a little bit thicker so you could write on it. And these could be journaling cards. I think they will look great like on the front of a journal. This one will look really pretty on the front of like a spring journal or a purpley journal. Yeah, you could turn like the smaller ones like this, you could turn them into an altered paper clip. That would be awesome. And then put, you know, like a lot of my kits come with a little embellishment. A lot of everybody's kits come with little embellishments. You could put one of those on here, so this is a great substrate for that. But also, I think right like on the front of a journal with a nameplate over it, that would be awesome. Then I made a couple a little bit bigger. That one's kind of got pinks in it, really, really pale pinks that the camera's not picking up. It looks white. And then this one I made, and I left the little jaggedy edges on because, again, I thought on the front of like a traveler's notebook or something, that would look really cool. And these glued down, you wouldn't catch them on anything. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I made those really quick. I prepped all of this stuff ready to go. And so this would work really great for like where you rip off at the top of your 12 by 12, the little rip offs. If you save those, this would be perfect for them. Otherwise, what I do is take my 1-inch cutoffs and cut them down the middle. Now you'll notice that I am doing this with scientific accuracy on my measurements. Just kidding. There's nothing scientific about what I'm doing. They get a little wider and a little, you know, I do the best I can to go down the middle. And then for the ones that are like a full 12 inches, I just roughly cut them in half. Okay. So this is just like when you were in elementary school and you did paper weaving. That's what this is. So I've got some that are a little longer because these were like 8-inch chunks. Some kids screaming outside. And then these are 12-inch ones that are cut down, so they're like 6 inches. So I'm going to make a couple of long, skinny ones, if that makes any sense, which it should. You guys hear? Can you hear that? Some kids out there going, cuckoo, cuckoo. Okay, that's what happens when kids are out for their walk for gym time and they have nothing better to do. Okay, so I'm going to hold these 3 together like this. Now, just kind of like, you know, holding your cards or something. And then I'm going to take some of the smaller ones and start feeding them in to just get it started. So, right? Simple, under, over, under, and then the next one will go, because that one went under this one, so it'll go over that one, over, under, over. Once you get a third one in here, it stays pretty good. Let's see, let's do this one. So it went under this one, so I'm going to go over that one, over, under, over. Okay, once you get 3 going in each direction, you get it gets not pretty easy, but it gets easier. So then what I do is kind of put it down and I kind of just push them all together to start my like a more solid weave in the middle. And then I'm just going to keep going. So I'm going to put a couple more on this side. So let's do that. One there. And I'll put that same color down here. How about like that? Then let's see, I'll put a couple of these shiny gold ones. Those are kind of fun. I'll put those in. Okay. Now I'm just going to re-push them all together a little bit just to straighten it up. Now again, if you're using the highly scientific accurate measuring that I was just using, not at all, then you're going to have the same issue that I do, which is that, you know, some of them are going to be a little wider and narrower, and so you're not going to get a perfect rectangle or square unless everything is really measured out and you push everything together really tightly. But that's fine, because that's kind of not what I'm going for anyway. These are definitely scraps, and this is a junk journal, and I kind of don't mind a little bit of imperfection. So so now I'm putting a couple of the longer pieces back in on the long side here. Let's go with one of these guys. And I'm just going over, under, over, under, over, under. You get the point, right? Okay. And push them back together a little. And I just try to, like when I put the longer ones in, I try to keep them even on both sides a little, as much as possible. Again, these are scraps, so, you know, they're going to be all different lengths and stuff. I think I'm going to put a couple more in the sides here. Oop. So let's go with I like this dark brown color, so let's go with that in here. And then let's do the same down here. Okay. Oops. And when you do it, like when you're weaving the paper with the heavier pieces of paper, it's fairly easy. Okay, so now I'm going to start from the middle and just try to kind of push together all the pieces in one direction here. Like that. And then I'm going to spin it and try to get these tall, longer pieces to go towards the middle the best I can. Just kind of scoochy, scoochy, jiggle, wiggle. Those are technical terms, scoochy, woochy, and jiggle, wiggle. Okay. Once I'm satisfied that I've got them kind of just pushed together the best I can. Look, isn't that pretty? Okay, then we're going to flip it over. Boom. And this is where we're going to kind of just like start securing them. So on this, let's start with down here because this should be the easiest to see. See this dark gray piece here? Everything that came under it, so like this one went under it. So I'm going to fold it up over the edge like that. So every other one then that went under it, so this one went under it, this one went under it, this one went under it. Like so. All right, then I'm going to take my glue and we're going to just glue those down. Like so. And this is just securing all of your, this is why we don't have to do any gluing, like, you know, dots of gluing in between everything, is because we're securing everything down like this. Then you turn it and you do the same with this side. So everything that went under this last strip gets folded up over it. One more scooch. Oops, one more scooch. This one wants to untighten. That'll stop in just a second here when I glue it down. Okay. You guys, I cannot believe that I'm so close to being done with the scrap project. Well, or the using up of the scraps. Now we move on to next stage, but so close I can taste it. Okay. And we do the same thing over here. So everything that came under this last row, we are going to fold up. Look at, it's just like, it's like the adult version of elementary school art day. Except this is with, you know, our fancy paper scraps rather than construction paper and paste. Elmer's paste. Or Elmer's, you know, white Elmer's glue. Alright, and then last side, same thing. Everything that came under this last row gets folded up over it. And secured. So, if your scrap pieces, like if your folded over pieces like this, are long enough, the back side is pretty cool looking too, I think. You know, because a lot of these were double-sided papers. So if you were using all, like, you know, single-sided paper where it was just white on the back, then you would just have, you know, a white choppy looking folded over. But because these are all, you know, that's definitely the front, but because these are mostly double-sided papers, it looks pretty cool on the back too. Okay, so now you have one of two choices. Well, you have lots of choices, guys. You do you. You do whatever you want to do here. What I did is you can either trim all these edges off. Now this is all secured, so you don't have to worry about cutting these off. They're not going to slide through because everything folded over like that works. You can do this and leave little stubbies on the ends. So, I mean, this is pretty extreme amount. That wouldn't fit on much. So you can go through and kind of trim them at different lengths. like that. And then you've got this cool piece that you could put something in the middle of, or, you know, I mean, even just, that might just look kind of cool on a cover by itself, right? Push it all together. So you can do like that, or you can go along and trim all the edges off, which is also very satisfying to trim them right up next to. So I think I'm going to leave this one like this. And we're already, well, we're 15 minutes. I think we can do. Let me just do this one more. I won't explain as much because you guys are smart, intelligent people, and you can follow along fairly quickly with what I'm doing here. So I don't need to explain. So I'm just going to put together, because you guys, I don't want to pack up my scraps one more time. We're done. We're done with the, well, for now, because you know I'm going to make more books and I'm going to make more scraps. That is inevitable. There will be more making of the scraps. But I'm not packing these scraps up no more. Okay. Whoops. See, you can tell right away if you have not woven it the right way because it just falls right out. Oh, I already did that one. Let's do one of these gray ones. This is speed weaving, guys. Hey, shout out to my mom. Hi, Mom. My mom said that she's been watching. My mom said that she's been watching my videos because, so my mom, you guys, my mom, an amazing woman. Some of you got to meet her in the live. My mom is the executive director of the local HUD office, so like housing and urban development. For those of you who are foreign, who don't know what a HUD office is, it is housing and urban development. So basically it's just helping people who need housing assistance. So my mom is the executive director of their HUD office up there. Now, my mom would also probably say right now, oh my gosh, that makes her sound way more, you know, my mom is a pretty humble person, and she'd be like, oh, say executive director, it makes me sound so more important than I am, but she really is quite important. I mean, people need housing. But it is a very small office, and they live in the least populous county in all of Minnesota. So there is that. There's not a ton of even people, you know, that live in her county. So it is a rather small office. It's just her and one other, she has kind of like an assistant that works there with her. So right now, because of like lockdown, she really doesn't have to go to meetings. She doesn't have to go to, you know, she said the phone's really not ringing all that much. And so it's been rather quiet. So she's been watching my videos when she has some extra time there to, you know, hang out with me, which I think is super cool. So Mom, if you're watching this, thank you for being an awesome mom. Thank you for the work you do at HUD. I know sometimes it is frustrating and not always the most easy job, but it is necessary, and people are very lucky to have you as the other person on the other end of the phone. For so many reasons. Okay, this one is getting big, but that's okay because I kind of like the big ones too. They will look really cool. I'm just really thinking these will look cool on the background of the cover of a journal. With, you know, with like one image on the front or a fussy cut flower. Like, can you imagine over this kind of like browns and neutrals one, if you put like a really bright geranium with some cheesecloth or something? That'd be so cute. All right, I've got a little room down here. Sorry guys if I'm like if this is really hard to see what I'm doing while I'm doing this. I'm just trying to go quick as I can. Okay, I think I've exhausted the ends of all of the things, so I'm just going to push it together. I've been kind of pushing it together, so that helps too, if you kind of push it together as you go. Just kind of scooch, 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 and jiggle wiggle. Okay, now flip. See, the back sides look cool too. Okay, now I'm going to start the folding over and gluing process. Oh, but see, like this one has a barcode because that one is clearly not a double-sided piece of paper. It has a barcode on one side. Okay. Oh, you guys. You know, I just don't think that you're quite as excited about the moment that I find myself in right now, but I am so close to getting to move on from the making, the mass making of all those graphs. Okay. Ooh, nails, don't fail me now. My nails, you guys, this is total, like a totally an aside, but my nails are like, they are having a time of it right now. They are peeling and flaking and breaking. They are in rough shape. I haven't even been painting them because I'm like just putting this stuff on there that's supposed to help them nourish them or whatever. I don't know if you can honestly these things that you buy that you can paint on your nails and it's supposed to be nourishing to them, I think aren't. What am I doing? Pay attention, Nikki. Under the last row. See, if you don't fold the ones that went under, then the last row will just fall out and you'll have a mess. So when you're complaining about things like being vain about your nails, then that's what happens. You mess up your art project. Ugh, vanity run amok. But like I was just saying, I don't think that there's, I don't know if I believe that you can paint some polish on your nails that's gonna somehow nourish them and make them healthy. But guess who's the sucker who bought that anyway? Because they're just in tough shape. Okay, this time I am going under that last one. All right, last side. Then this one will cut off all the way to the edge because it's quite satisfying, not gonna lie. So this is another great way to add texture too. I mean, you could put this on the front of a, see, I don't know if you could, if you were gonna use it as a pocket, I feel like you'd have to put some tape or, you'd have to like put some tape or a piece of paper or something on the, I mean, you could use up some of your, you know, ugly washi when you bought that 5-pack of washi, and because one of them was cute and the other 5 you're like, or the other 4 you're like, I'm never going to use this. Why did I buy this? Well, you could put, you could put it all over the back of this and then you could use this as a pocket. If you used it as a pocket just like this, I think it would get caught, you know, as you try to put things in. But I mean, this would be a really cool looking pocket too. Okay, so then we're flipped back over to the front side and I'm just gonna go and snip off all the little bits. Now, if you were going to use this, for anything where people would actually be like taking it in and out of a pocket or something, then you might want to go back, and this is the only place that's not secure, is where you cut off. There's this little flap. You might want to put a dot of glue and just squeeze those together. However, they are technically on the back side. So if you just glue this whole thing down, or if you're going to use it as a pocket and you, see, isn't that kind of satisfying, guys? Oops. All right. That's not enough to do another one, so those go in there. All right, so if you were going to glue it onto something, then all those little bits just get glued down. Or if you're going to use it as a journal card with one big scrap of like coffee stained or, you know, some sort of pattern paper or something there, then that would hold it all together too. You could also run a stitch around the edge of this. That might look kind of cool too. So anyway, show and tell time, guys. Okay, so we've seen these, right? So these are, I have a bunch of these. So now let's look. We're going to look at all of the amazing things that I was able to make with all of my scraps. Okay, so woven bits. Here are all the flags, little chunks of flags that I made, right? So I've kind of got them, they're kind of in some different colorways. So these are kind of pinkish. Those are the ones I was showing you. Here I've got some kind of bluish ones. These are kind of neutral. I've got some purples. Here's like some purples. These are some kind of blue. Here are some kind of green ones. Okay, so a whole bunch of little flags all ready to go. Those will work super awesome for putting on the edges of papers, you know, pages and all kinds of stuff. Then we've got a whole bunch of these clusters, and again I did some that are kind of bluish, some that are kind of greenish. We've got these kind of pinkish ones that I made. Here's some kind of more green ones down here. Here's some kind of violet and purple ones. Okay, so we've got, do you see, we've got a theme kind of going. I had a lot of purpley scraps, so we've got kind of some purpley bluish ones. We've got some green kind of naturey colored ones. We've definitely got some like shabby pinkish kind of ones. Okay, so we've got a bunch of those. Then I took some of those and some of the banners and made them into altered paper clips. So I've got some altered paper clips in some of the different colors and some banner altered paper clips, different sizes, right? So those are ready to go into, these are all just paper clips. So those are all ready to go. Then we've got our load of belly bands, some of which, like, so you've seen these, you saw those, some of those. Here's one, I just had this extra scrap, so I sewed that down. Oh, here I did, okay, so this was the one, I didn't actually sew these together on video at the end of the first one. So here they are put together, right? Little page embellishments. And then I had a few extra pieces, so I used another scrap and I made these, and I thought these would work great as little tuck spots, you know, along the side of a page or on the bottom of a page or something. Add to a tag, whatever. And then here are the scrappy ones, right? Here's the one that I cut the points off of. Same thing, same like this, only I cut the points off of this one. And then the woven ones and the tagception one. Oh, which I forgot to sew the rest of the other tagception, inception, belly band inception, and then the woven ones. So we've got those. Then I've got my stack of quilted cards, which will look great as pockets or journaling cards, or also on the front of journals. So those are in a couple different kind of colors. Some more purpley ones, kind of bluish ones. You guys, I wish you could have a handful of these. It feels so cool. They feel, oh, the texture, right? You know, I love texture and crinkly sounds, and all of this stuff is like amazing texture. Then I did a few random journal cards. Those are some really shiny gold paper that looks really cool. And then I had, this is an off print from one of my kits, and it's got lines on the back, so it's perfect for like a journaling card. And then I had those Mrs. Coggs images, so I just collaged those up and made some journal cards, zipped around the edge with the sewing machine. All right, then I had this, I think what this was, I came across this like little chunk of these paper clipped together. They're shiny, so they're glossy paper, right? So not necessarily always what I'm using, but look at them. They are just luscious. I mean, who doesn't love a nice bright floral image? Look at these, and they're huge. They're like gorgeous close-ups. So what I think I will do, and then that cute little guy. What I think I'm gonna do with these, well, there were some smaller images in there too, so I made them into some tags. I just used some of the wider offcuts, cut them down into tag shapes, and I used some of the smaller pieces of those larger images and made these tags. So layered up these tags. They're so pretty. These pictures are just so vibrant and lovely. All right, so I think I will probably end up making like a traveler's notebook and using these larger pieces as like pockets and tuck spots and stuff. Okay, so in addition to all of this, I also made, let me reach. Oh, I just knocked over my glue. That's okay, it wasn't open. I also made 4 pockets full of clusters. Now, I'm not going to take you through all of them. I'll just show you like this one here. These are Prefabo, it's stuck to how okay, little clusters that I went through as I was sewing, and I sewed together little clusters, right? So I made a ton of different sizes of clusters, totally ready to go into books. And then I also made some longer ones, so some longer kind of snippets like this. And these could go on the edges of pages or over the top of a pocket, right? On the edge of an envelope. They can do all kinds of great things. So I've got a bunch in this kind of neutral color. You know, as I was sorting, remember I was sorting into colorways. I've got a bunch of kind of black and white and like, you know, neutrals around that. I've got a bunch in like lovely teals and blues. And then I've got some like kind of shabby pinks and peaches. So 4 envelopes full of those. Okay, so all of this goodness. Now we're just gonna push it gently because I'm gonna quick walk you through all, you ready for this? The stack of collages. Now, we never really came to consensus on whether these are collages or masterboards. Hold on, I'm taking a sip here. And actually, I probably need to take you up a little higher here. Let me adjust the... Okay, so if you will remember back to how this all began, these were the original ones that I had made. So I had made these 3 smaller ones here, right? And they're just on different backgrounds. So I made those. And then I made this. And then I made a couple of them on camera with you, which are going to be down at the bottom of the page, I think. Or down at the bottom of the pile. So then I went ahead and went through a whole, like I had sorted it all into colors and everything, and I went through and made a whole bunch of these pages, right, of collage on 12 by 12s that I just thought I wouldn't use. So now they have new life in the form of these collages that will now be cut down into tags and pockets and stuff, but a few of them will also become journal covers. So we'll just run through them really quick so you can see what I've done. This one was just a bunch of random book pages. I really like that one. That'll be cool. Then here are some kind of like neutral ones. This one was a lot of the same papers. Here's a real dark one with a bunch of the dark colored papers. All right. Here's another kind of whites and lighter pieces and neutrals. Like that one big bicycle tire hanging out there. Right. All right. Greens, lovely, luscious, bright, springy looking greens. So there's that one. Then we have some beautiful yellows with this really pretty bees. The bees are shiny, kind of pinkish red magenta color. They're so pretty. So that one, I love this one. Here's another even brighter yellow. Then we move into the purples. So here's a purple one. Here's a brighter purple one. This is part of a digital kit from someone. That might have been when I was doing Artsology design team. Here's some gorgeous blues. This just like rolled out of some scrap, so I glued it on. That one's pretty. Here's kind of an aqua colors. These were where I was punching out flowers, you know, with my die cutter. So like that's what the flower looked like. And then, but I had I had thrown these in there. Oh, I think because they had larger pieces attached to them still. So I thought I could get punches out of those too. But I ripped those off and included them in here. And then I glued the offcuts in there, the negatives too. Here's a nice bright blue, kind of aquas and blues. Teal. Look at that. It's got all kinds of music notes. There was like a sheet from a magazine that had music notes, so I put them all over. Here's a little bit more subdued, kind of sagey greens, light greens. Then this was a misstep. This was like all kinds of leftover stuff that I just it was not jamming together. It was just a whole bunch of leftover bright stuff that didn't really go well together. And then I had some pieces of, what's this called? Sewing pattern paper. So I tried sticking them down all over. Now it is very secure. I just don't like the way it looks. But I kept it because maybe once because you can still see some of the stuff through it, right? Maybe once, if I try cutting it down, or maybe if I make it into like a journal cover and then put some stuff over and decorate it, then maybe I'll like it more. So I kept it because I thought every time I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I don't like that. But who knows? Maybe, sometimes stuff that you think is ugly, you actually can zhuzh it up and jazz it up and make it look better. So this I like though. This is kind of a nice peachy warm pinks paper. This is bright pinks. Bright, hot, summery pinks. This yummy looking cherry tart thing, that was a cutout of something. Probably Daphne's Diary or something. Then I had a bunch of these leftover labels. These were from when I did Artsology design team. So I had just some printed out on just regular old copy paper. So I collaged them together and figured they'd look cute. Cut apart into things. Then I've got kind of this darker, vintagey looking stuff. Woo! Then we got this I love this one, guys. This makes me happy. These rich, kind of darker and jewelry toned reds with this paper that's got this gold embossing. And this has got it's mulberry paper with some little gold printing on there. And then a little bit of NYX stuff in there. And some Seven Gypsies. Oh, just pretty. I really like that one. I'm going to decide what to do with that one. It also kind of goes with this one. These two kind of, I think, go well together. They would do well together in like a fall journal, or I don't know. So there's that one. This one has a bunch of my mushroom rip strips on and just some other little bits and pieces. Some Tim Holtz map papers stuff. And then this, I think these two we did together. So I won't, like these last two, we did these together. Okay, so see how many pages of collage I have? Woohoo! Okay, so I think we're at 40 minutes. So here's what I'm gonna do, guys. Here's next steps. I'm gonna go through, and I've had printed out for a little while now a couple different kits that like a couple of my kits and a couple of other people's kits. I think I've got a couple Tracy kits printed out. And what I'm gonna do is, they're books that I just never got around to making. So I'm gonna, as part of using up my scraps and everything, I'm gonna kind of curate, excuse me, for some reason, extra phlegmy today. Isn't that nice? Did you want to know that? I'm going to curate, I'm going to take out the kits, and I'm going to curate out of all of this stuff. I'm going to pull together kind of what I'm thinking I'll use as like covers and some of the ephemera and pull it together. And then in my next video, we'll start talking about how I'm going to cut these down, use them, how I make covers out of them. We'll just go on that journey together. We're just going to stay on this scrappy journey and make some journals out of this stuff now, because now I feel like I've got all these things that need to be turned into actual journals, since that's what I do. So thank you guys for hanging out with me so far on the journal-y adventure, or the scrappy Nikki the Scrap Whisperer adventure. And like I said, I'm gonna pull some stuff together, and then, you know, this is Easter weekend or Resurrection weekend. So after today, I'll be, busy. I have to go tomorrow, and we're gonna record music for Sunday, and then Sunday we'll have service, and we're doing a Zoom family Easter. So we can, my brother and their sister and their families and my parents and we can all have a Zoom Easter, because we can't be together physically, so we can at least like wave at the little nieces and nephews and their grandkids and everything. And then you guys, we are having a friend over. One friend. We're having one friend over for Easter supper on Sunday. Now don't tell anybody. All bunches of you that watch this, don't tell anybody, but it's okay, because she lives on her own. She hasn't left her house. She's literally been working from home and living at home all the time and like not leaving. She's being very good about the not leaving thing. So she needs to get out of her house and have some human interaction, so she's coming here for Easter dinner. Anyway, we're pretty sure that we're not sick and she's not sick, and I think it will be okay. Anyway, so guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me so far. I will see you again very soon, early next week, with another video on, like I said, curating and pulling together and starting to work through some of this and turn it into journals, how I'm going to make all the little bits and pieces come together. So until I see you guys, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, wherever it is on this fantastic, amazing globe of ours that you live on. I hope that you stay healthy and well. I hope that you find as much positive mental space as you can. I hope that you continue to find the silver linings in each day. Take a moment for gratitude. Take a moment, even on the hard days, to think about the one good thing that happened that day. I pray that there is always a one good thing that happens for you guys each day. So I'm so thankful for you and grateful, and I will see you guys all again very soon. Until then, take care. God bless. Bye-bye.